My name is Derek Sullivan, and this is the story of how I made $847,000 selling fake productivity courses to desperate people on the internet. I didn't build a company. I didn't invent a system. I didn't discover anything. I had no credentials, no award, no track record. No before and after story that was actually true. What I had was a phone camera, a cheap ring light, a rented Lamborghini, and a script I stole piece by piece from other internet hustlers who were already doing the same thing. For 2 years, I lived like a king while the people who paid me were stuck refreshing dashboards, rewriting to-do lists, and blaming themselves for not executing hard enough. Then my biggest customer, a single mom who spent her last $2,000 on my elite program, figured out I was a fraud. What she did next didn't just embarrass me, it destroyed everything I built. And if I'm being honest, I didn't deserve mercy. I deserved consequences. I was 29 years old when I became a scammer. That sentence looks ugly on the page, but I'm not going to dress it up. I'm not going to hide behind words like marketing or coaching or personal brand. I scammed people, but I didn't start out thinking I want to ruin someone's life today. I started out thinking I can't do this anymore. At the time, I was living in Tampa, Florida, working as a sales rep for a tech company. $45,000 a year, decent on paper, miserable in real life. I spent my days cold calling businesses, reading the same scripted opener into the same dead silence. "Hi, this is Derek. Quick question. You have a moment?" Most people hung up before I finished the line. The ones who didn't hang up usually sighed like I had interrupted their entire life. I wasn't terrible at the job. I wasn't the worst on the team. Some months I hit quota. Some months I didn't. My manager treated me like I was always one mistake away from being replaced by another guy with the same headset and the same desperation. And that was the part that ate at me, the replaceability. Every day felt like I was trading time for barely enough money to stay afloat, and every raise felt like a joke. I'd watch executives talk about growth. Then I'd sit in my car after work calculating how many hours I needed just to cover rent, groceries, and minimum payments on my credit card. I was tired. Tired of waking up early. Tired of commuting. Tired of asking permission to take a Friday off. Tired of making someone else rich while I stayed stuck. And because I was tired and frustrated, I did what millions of people do when they're alone at night and feeling trapped. I started scrolling. 2019 was peak era for the escape the rat race internet. Instagram was full of guys in slim-fit suits posing next to exotic cars. They'd stand in front of a Lamborghini, smiling like the world owed them respect, and they'd say things like, "I make $50,000 a month working 4 hours a week. Financial freedom is one decision away. If you're still broke, it's your mindset." At first, I thought it was ridiculous. I grew up around normal people. My family wasn't wealthy. My friends weren't wealthy. Nobody I knew had a Lamborghini. Nobody I knew casually rented mansions for content. So I assumed it was fake. But the problem is, the more you watch something, the more your brain starts to accept it as normal. I started seeing these self-styled mentors everywhere. Every time I opened the app, there was another confident guy pointing at a screenshot talking about funnels, leads, conversions, scaling. And gradually, my skepticism turned into curiosity. Not because they convinced me they were geniuses, because they convinced me there was money sitting on the table, waiting for whoever had the nerve to grab it. I started watching their YouTube videos, too. I'd lie in bed at 1 a.m. watching some kid talk about passive income while he walked around a luxury apartment filming himself in mirrors. The content was repetitive, but the tone was hypnotic. Everything was framed like a secret. Most people won't do what I'm about to tell you. I'm giving you the blueprint they don't want you to have. I'm handing you the keys. And I realized something that made my stomach tighten. These guys weren't smarter than me. They weren't more talented. They weren't more disciplined. They weren't more worthy. They were just better at selling the dream, so I did what desperate people do. I paid. I bought 3 courses. $1,997 for the Laptop Lifestyle Blueprint. $997 for 6-figure sales secrets. $497 for passive income mastery. Total, $3,500. I maxed out my credit card to buy them, telling myself it was an investment. I still remember the moment I clicked purchase on the last one. My hand hesitated on the mouse like my body was trying to warn me. But my brain said, if this works, everything changes. And then I opened the course modules, and I felt my face go hot, because it was garbage. Not "this isn't for me" garbage, not "I already know this" garbage. It was empty. Every course was the same recycled motivational sludge. Believe in yourself. Take massive action. Get uncomfortable. Stop making excuses. There were no steps, no real examples, no realistic numbers, no here's exactly how to do it. Just vibes, confidence, buzzwords. It was digital snake oil. I sat there staring at my laptop thinking I spent $3,500 for this. I felt stupid. And then I had a thought I'm not proud of, a cynical thought, a dark thought. If I fell for this, other people will too, and that was the moment something changed inside me. Not instantly, not like a switch, but like a door opening. A door I should have kept shut. For the next 2 months, I studied these course sellers like a scientist. I wasn't looking for truth. I was looking for the technique. I watched how they framed everything. They never sold information. They sold identity. They sold the future version of you. They sold a fantasy where you wake up at 10 a.m., check Stripe, and then spend the rest of the day traveling and working from your laptop. They sold the feeling of escaping humiliation, because the audience wasn't just broke. They were embarrassed about being broke. They were tired, overworked, stressed, scared. They wanted a lifeline, and the fake online coaches offered one with a price tag, so I copied the structure, the tone, the phrases, the urgency tricks. Only 10 spots left. Offer expires tonight. Last chance. I learned how scarcity works even when it's fake. I learned how the countdown timer resets and still converts. I learned that people don't buy because they understand. They buy because they're afraid of missing their chance to change their life. Then I built my scam. Step 1, I created a fake success story. I couldn't claim I was rich because I wasn't. So I said I used to be broke. I said I was drowning in bills. I said I was depressed and stuck. I said I cracked the code and now I made $30,000 a month. Was it true? No, but nobody fact-checks Instagram captions, and the scariest part, people want to believe. If someone looks confident and speaks in absolutes, people treat it like truth. Step 2, I rented a Lamborghini. $500 a day. I drove to a rich neighborhood and parked it in front of a mansion. I filmed everything, door closing, engine rev, keys in hand, me walking toward the car like I owned it. I took 50 photos and videos. Then I stretched that content over 3 months. I posted one flex photo every few days, just enough to build the illusion, and the comments rolled in. Goals. How did you do it? I need this. The attention hit me like a drug. I'd never had strangers admire me before, and I could feel my ego inflate. Step 3, I created a course. I called it the 4-hour income system. I recorded 12 videos in my apartment. The content was basically the same recycled junk I had purchased, reworded with more confidence. Set goals. Build your brand. Create content. Run ads. Scale. No specifics, no structure, no actual method, but I spoke like I was revealing secrets. I used phrases like framework and proven system and high leverage. I put it on a simple website, price $497. Step 4, I ran ads. I spent $1,000 targeting people searching for make money online and side hustle. The ad was simple. I went from broke to $30K/month in 6 months. Click here to learn how. The sales page had my fake lifestyle photos, a story about escaping the rat race, and a countdown timer. Offer ends in 24 hours. It didn't. It reset every day, but people didn't know that. And then it worked. The first week, I made 8 sales, $3,976. I remember staring at the Stripe dashboard, feeling lightheaded. My brain kept saying, this can't be real. Because I had just made almost $4,000 selling something that had cost me almost nothing to create. And it wasn't like selling software where people argued and negotiated and hesitated. These people paid instantly. That's how hungry they were for hope. I was hooked. Over the next 6 months, I scaled everything. I spent $5,000 a month on ads. I made $25,000 to $35,000 a month. I quit my job. I told myself I was taking control of my life. The truth is, I was running from shame. I moved into a nicer apartment. I bought a used BMW, not a Lamborghini, but close enough to impress people online. I started posting more. Just hit $40K this month. So grateful. My DMs are open. I learned how to perform gratitude as marketing. I learned how to sound humble while flexing. People loved it. They'd message me like I was a savior. You inspired me. I want to be like you. I'm ready. And I sold and sold and sold. By the end of year 1, I'd made $380,000. By the end of year 2, $847,000. That number still makes my chest feel tight, because it's not just money, it's how many people I convinced. I hired a VA, a video editor, and a copywriter. I upgraded my branding. I launched a $2,000 elite coaching program where I'd do group Zoom calls once a week. The calls were pathetic. People would show up anxious, excited, desperate. They'd ask real questions. How do I actually choose a niche? How do I run ads without losing money? How do I get clients if I have no experience? And I'd give them nothing. I'd repeat motivational phrases. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Mindset is everything. Execution beats knowledge. Sometimes I'd tell them to wake up earlier. Sometimes I'd tell them to journal. Sometimes I'd tell them to visualize the future you. And they nodded because they wanted to believe. They didn't want to admit they'd been fooled. They wanted to keep the fantasy alive. Then Jessica showed up. Her name was Jessica. She was 34 years old, a single mom with 2 kids. She'd been following me for 6 months. She bought the $497 course. Then she bought the $2,000 coaching program. Then she started messaging me constantly. I'm doing everything you said. Why isn't it working? I'm posting daily. Nothing is happening. I'm scared. I need this. I gave her generic replies, like I gave everyone. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Success takes time. But Jessica didn't message like someone playing a game. She messaged like someone standing on the edge of a cliff, and I knew it. I could feel it. But I ignored it because acknowledging it would mean acknowledging what I was doing. Then she sent a long message. She thanked me. She told me she spent her last $2,000 on my coaching. She said she believed in herself now. She said she was doing this for her kids. I read it. And for the first time in 2 years, guilt hit me like a punch because this wasn't some random guy with disposable income. This was a mother gambling rent money on my lies. My hands actually shook. I stared at the screen thinking, what have I become? I didn't respond. I closed the message, and I went back to selling. That's the kind of person I was at that point. 3 months later, Jessica messaged again. But this time, the tone was different. Derek, call me. I ignored it. I know what you're doing. I have proof. My stomach dropped, then another message. Call me or I'm going public. I panicked. I called. She answered immediately. You're a fraud, Derek. I tried to keep my voice steady. What are you talking about? She laughed, cold, sharp. I'm not stupid. I dug into your lies. Then she started listing things. The Lamborghini, rented. She found the rental company watermark in an old post. The mansion, reverse image searched. It was an Airbnb listing, the income screenshots, photoshopped. She could see the layers. She wasn't guessing. She had receipts. You don't make money with some system, she said. You make money selling hope to people like me. I didn't speak. I couldn't. My throat felt tight. Then her voice cracked. I have 2 kids, Derek. I can't pay rent because I gave you that money. I believed you. That sentence hit harder than anything. Not because I suddenly became a good person, because I knew she was right. She kept going. I'm exposing you tomorrow unless you refund everyone. I begged. Jessica, wait, let's talk. She hung up. The next day she posted everything, a 40-minute YouTube video. I paid $2,500 to a fake online coach. Here's proof he's a scam. She showed the receipts, the rental car evidence, the Airbnb listing, the fake screenshots, the recycled course material, screenshots of my generic advice. The video went viral. 50,000 views in 24 hours, then 200,000, then 500,000. People started refunding through PayPal and Stripe. My payment processors froze my accounts. My Instagram got mass reported and banned. My students created a Facebook group called Derek Sullivan Scammed Me. Local news picked it up. Florida man exposed for $800K online course scam. And that headline felt like the universe finally saying my name out loud. I lost everything. My income, my reputation, my business. I had about $150,000 left after refunds and chargebacks started ripping through my accounts. I refunded Jessica. Then I refunded everyone else who demanded it. By the end, I had $50,000 left. $50,000 out of $847,000. It didn't feel like profit. It felt like leftover ashes. It's been 2 years since Jessica exposed me. I'm 33 now. I work a normal job again, customer service for an insurance company. I live in a small apartment. I don't post online anymore. I don't sell anything, and I'm not going to pretend I'm the victim. I wasn't canceled. I wasn't misunderstood. I wasn't attacked. I was caught, and Jessica didn't ruin my life. I ruined it. She just turned the lights on. Here's what I learned, and I'm not saying this to sound wise. I'm saying it because it's true. Lesson 1. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Nobody makes $50,000 a month working 4 hours a week with no skill, no experience, no effort. If someone sells that fantasy, they're selling a lie. Lesson 2. Fake online coaches are everywhere. Rented cars, rented houses, filtered photos, photoshopped dashboards. They sell the image first, then they sell the program second. Lesson 3. Greed destroys everything. I made almost $1 million. I could have stopped. I could have built something real, but greed makes you numb. Greed makes you justify anything as long as the money keeps coming. I thought I was playing the system. I didn't realize the system was playing me too. Because the moment the audience turned, I had nothing real underneath the performance. No loyalty, no trust, no foundation, just a persona. So that's my story. From broke sales rep to fake mentor to exposed fraud. From $0 to $847,000 to $50,000, I'm not the hero of this story. Jessica is. Because she didn't just expose me, she probably saved other people from handing their rent money to the next polished scammer with a countdown timer. If you've ever been scammed by someone selling a dream online, I'm sorry. Not as a PR line, as a fact. Because what I did wasn't just taking money. It was taking hope. And that's the worst kind of theft there is. Don't be like I was, and don't fall for people like I was.